Very good morning. So, in our previous session, we discussed about India USA international relations first lecture. In that lecture, we discussed about the bilateral relations, recent telephonic conversations between newly elected US President Joe Biden and our Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, recent high-level visits to United States, recent high-level visits to India, exchanges on margins of multilateral events. And now we will discuss about our second lecture about defense relations. Let's start it. Defense relations between India and USA. In this defense relations, which has emerged as a major pillar of India and US strategic partnership with intensification in defense trade, joint exercises, personal exercises, and cooperation in maritime security and counter piracy. These strategic partnerships between both the countries, which is expected to strengthen further with a new government in the US led by President Joe Biden, that is expected to carry out steady investment and recalibration rather than redesigning its Indo-Pacific agenda. The defense and security relationship between both the countries will continue to deepen, aided by right now political commitments in both countries and converging concerns about the vast growing Chinese assertiveness, Chinese expansion theories across the Indo-Pacific region. So, as this part of a strategic partnership, India conducted more bilateral exercises with the US than any other country. And some of these bilateral exercises are Yuddha Abhyas. In the same way, Vajra Prahar. In the same way, another one, Tiger Triumph. In the same way, Cope India. When coming to the India trilateral exercises, India, USA, and Japan combinedly call it as a Malabar exercise. And now recently, Australia too joined in this group. So now, this became a Quad group. And these Quad group details were discussed in our previous sessions. So, both countries, armies, which are going for joint exercises in coming October, November 2021, along with these counter-terrorism exercises. You are well aware of DTTI. I will mention here it, guys. Please observe here. Mention here. DTI. Please observe clearly. What is this, sir? DTI. Please do remember it, guys. What is this DTI? Defense Technology and Trade Initiative. Please do remember, guys. What is the abbreviation of DTI? Defense Technology and Trade Initiative. What is this DTI? Please do remember, guys. Recently, India and US defense related acquisitions. If you observe, India's defense related acquisitions with the US, which is more than $15 billion. And this DTI, which is aimed at promoting co-development and co-production efforts. It means India and US will sign agreements such as defense related acquisitions in the form of investment. And what is our India's aggregate growth worth of defense related acquisitions from the US is right now more than $15 billion. Please do remember, this is a very, very important point. Please remember, guys, it is more than $15 billion. And another $6 billion were the defense deal. Nothing but exchanges of strategic trade authorizations, advanced sensitive technologies. Other than this $15 billion, India also signed another $6 billion to acquire the strategic trade authorization sensitive technologies. Nothing but India's elevation to this STA, strategic trade authorization license expansion, will further contribute towards facilitating interaction in advanced and sensitive technologies, which we will buy from this US. So total $15 billion acquisitions and $6 billion acquisition of acquiring sensitive technologies. So total it became $21 billion. This is very, very important, guys. Please do remember. And in June 2016, US recognized India as a major defense partner to facilitate technology sharing to a level commensurate with that of its allies and partners. In the same way, in 2018, in 2018, India's elevation, as I discussed earlier, Tier 1 of the Strategic Trade Authorization License. And in 2019 also, please do remember, guys, I will mention here. In 2019, India US 2 plus 2. Please to remember, guys, India US 2 plus 2. Ministerial dialogues. Ministerial dialogues held at India US 2 plus 2 ministerial dialogues held at New York and Delhi, respectively. Please do remember, guys, in 2019, India and US 2 plus 2 plus 2. India US 2 plus 2 ministerial dialogues also held at both capital of these countries. And apart from these, some other important dialogues, mechanisms, some other dialogue mechanisms on defense cooperation were also held between Indian Army, Indian military and defense, Indian military and defense of US. And those are like defense policy group, military cooperation group, defense technology and trade initiative, and their joint working groups, as well as executive steering groups for Army, Navy and Air Force, defense procurement and production group, senior technology security group, and the joint technical group. These all relationships has become a comprehensive, resilient and multi-faceted major defense partnership between both the countries. And there are 4 important agreements which India should sign, and also it should become a member of these agreements, and we signed it all, and those are LEMOA, FOMCASA, ISA and BECA. Please do remember, guys, these are agreements with USA for promoting shared security interests. And all these implementations of Limoa Agreement, Comacasa Agreement, ISA Agreement, and BECA Agreement between the India and USA ministries, defense ministries. And with this agreement, the foreign and defense ministers has taken both India and US relationship to new heights. So in detail, if you observe, LEMOA in exam, you may get the abbreviations. Once I will read it out, please observe here. Logistics, exchange, memorandum of agreement, Comacasa, communications, compatibility and security agreement, ISA, industrial security annex, and coming to the BECA, basic exchange and cooperation agreement. Please do remember, guys. What are these agreements? The first one, Limoa. Let's discuss about this agreement. This agreement with the USA takes a new height of military ties between the countries, and this agreement, please note the point, the very important point. This Limoa usually signed by the United States of America with its allies for greater synergy between armed forces of USA and its allies. And another important point, India became signed this Limoa agreement in August 2016. And this article briefly discusses the various aspects and benefits of the Limoa agreement and touches upon other foundational agreements of the USA. Please do remember, guys, this agreement will be signed between USA and their allies, whatever it may be. And this military agreement establishes basic terms, conditions, procedures for logistic support, for supplies, and for services, which encompasses medical services, training, spare parts, fuel, food, water, transportation, clothing, repair, and other communication services. Please do remember, guys, foundational agreements which were signed by the USA. So there are 3 agreements that the USA calls as foundational agreements, and the first one will be the LSA, Logistic Support Agreement. Next one is SISMOA, Communications, Interoperability and Security Memorandum of Agreement, and the third one, which is called as BECA. And here we should also observe what are the advantages. What are the advantages if we sign this Limoa agreement with the USA? What are the benefits? Please do remember, guys, it gives access to designated military facilities on either side for refueling and replenishment of their forces assets. A mechanism will be instituted for bookkeeping and payments, and officials who will act as nodal points of contact and will be designated on both sides. This agreement will cover completely the 4 areas. What are those 4 areas? Port calls, joint exercises, training, humanitarian assistance. In the same way, disaster relief. It also, but please do remember one thing. These agreement Limova, this agreement Limova covers 4 areas, and those are port calls, joint exercises, training, humanitarian assistance, and disaster relief. And coming to COMCASA, what is this COMCASA? What is the abbreviation of it, guys? Communications compatibility and security agreement. Please do remember, guys, the abbreviations are very, very important. COMCASA, which is an India specific version of SISMOVA, which was the foundational agreement as we discussed a couple of minutes back. SISMOVA, what is the abbreviation of SISMOVA? Please observe here. What is the abbreviation of SISMOVA? Communications Interoperability and Security Memorandum of Agreement. It comes into force immediately and is valid for how many years? 10 years. This COMCASA allows India to procure, transfer specialized equipment for encrypted communications for US origin military platforms. Please do remember, this COMCASA allows India to procure, transfer specialized equipments, right? So for US origin military platforms, what are those platforms? C-17, C-130 and P-8IS. And currently these platforms use commercially available communication systems. So both countries will implement this agreement in a manner that is consistent with the national security interests of the other countries. And India has signed the GSMOIA. Please do remember, guys, GSMOIA, nothing but General Security of Military Information Agreement in 2002, Limova in 2016, and the last one remaining is BECA, which is geospatial information as well as geospatial cooperation. And next one is Industrial Security Annex, which opens the door for US defense companies to partner with Indian private sector. Especially, you are well aware of fighter jets deals. BECA, the signing of this BECA will enable both the countries to share geospatial information. Please do remember, guys, geospatial information. So what is this geospatial information? Please do remember, guys, what is this geospatial information. This geospatial information is nothing but which is used to describe data that represents features or other objects on the earth surfaces, where it is man-made or natural, if it has to do with these specific locations on the globe. Geospatial is very important form of information of the world. Geospatial location information is for better world, making international. If you observe, on 24th January 2021, 24th January 2021, to celebrate this International Day of Education, the United Nations and the International Cartographic Association have released a joint publication entitled Mapping for a Sustainable World. So this United Nations Geospatial Network, which is an inter-agency network of senior geospatial professionals within offices, specialized agencies, funds and programs of the UN systems. So this is geospatial information on maps and satellites, which are very useful for defense purposes. Lack of this geospatial information, so many wars were lost by these US forces in Afghanistan. This geospatial information, which is required while sailing a ship, flying an aircraft, fighting wars, locating targets, and this was not there at the time of 2001 Afghan war. So many US and their allies forces were lost in the Battle of Afghanistan war in between 2001 and 2008. After this geospatial network technologies, they easily located the Taliban leader Osama bin Laden locations. So these BECA, if we sign with other countries, we can share these geospatial information, which is a very, very important one in defense purposes. I think it is very clear to you guys, and in our next lecture we will discuss about counter terrorism cooperations. Thank you.